Hello and welcome to Stories of Legacy. We are so excited to have Jessica with us today, and she is the daughter of Anna and Tori Meyer, whom we interviewed this last week, or we had their interview on Stories of Legacy this last week. And now we have their daughter Jessica with us, and she's going to give her perspective. So I think this is the first time that we've actually done this, where we've gotten the daughter's perspective on the inside. So we're going to get the inside scoop from you, Jessica. But Jessica, if we can just start and you introduce yourself to us so the listeners know a little bit about who you are.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I currently live in Minnesota. I just moved back from Atlanta, Georgia. I am married to a middle school youth pastor, and right now I'm a barista, and I'm about to finish up school. And my hobbies are training my very wild dog.
Awesome. Your dog is there right now, so we might hear your dog, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Jessica, you have a very special story, and I didn't tell the listeners, we actually have a very special relationship as well because I've known you since you were in middle school yourself, and I was one of your youth leaders then too. So you have a very special place in my heart, and your parents as well through the years. So that's the connection that we have, and I think it's amazing that your husband is now a middle school youth pastor.
Who would have guessed?
Right? We love that age. It's an amazing age. Oh, yes. Well, you have a very special story, Jessica. You were adopted, and I think it was 5 weeks, your parents said. But what do you know about your birth mother?
So I have a semi-open adoption.
Okay.
So there's a good amount of information that I know. Every single year we've sent letters and pictures. And at 18, it became my choice whether or not to continue that. So okay. I know a lot about where she is now. Nothing on that end is a mystery at all. We don't have direct contact, but currently that's my choice.
Okay, and so you haven't met yet, right?
No, I would like to at some point. I have a few cousins, and I know some people who have met birth parents, and it hasn't gone well right away. So I wanted to make sure I was in a very secure place in life before I decided to reach out.
Yeah, that sounds very wise. Now, do you remember the first time that your parents told you you were adopted?
Well, since my parents are a different race than me, it would have become very obvious eventually if they hadn't told me. So I think they've just always told me, and I never thought it was strange.
Wow. I think that is so cool that you've never thought it strange. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but how did your parents explain about your adoption throughout the years, or what can you remember about it through the years? Because like you said, you've just always grown up knowing about it, so maybe it's hard to remember the first times, but what do you remember them telling you when you first...
Yeah. I think the way they always explained it is that God has adopted us into his heart as his children. And so that's how they adopted me as their child. And I don't think I really questioned that. And I'm not sure how much I understood, but that's always made sense to me. And that's how I've always understood it.
Wow. And that's beautiful that you trust them, and you trust that that's a good thing. And I like how they explain that God has first adopted us into his heart and that they have adopted you. That's beautiful. Now, what were some of the challenges you faced? Because as we have looked at other families who've adopted too, there can be challenges that you face. So were there some challenges that you experienced growing up because you were adopted?
I don't think I realized I had any challenges because I was adopted until later. I actually suffered from very extreme test anxiety for a really, really long time, and I didn't realize till I was in college. And when I went to therapy for it, some of it traced back to being adopted, and I had never even thought about that. And that's not normally one of the things that you hear people dealing with because of adoption. That's not one of the more typical issues. But on the whole, not. I'm not sure I suffered many of the challenges that a lot of people do, but I think it may have something to do with being adopted at such a young age.
Yeah, I think that we talked to your parents a little bit about that too, and it's so wonderful that they could get you just as a tiny baby.
Little.
Yeah.
Like 5 pounds.
Yeah. And so cute too. As your mom said, you were like a little dolly and could dress up, and you were so cute and happy, and that hasn't changed. Well, so it sounds like your parents did a great job explaining about the adoption to you, and you didn't have so many challenges yourself. But are there any pieces of advice that you would give to others who are adopted, and maybe they're questioning their identity, who they are? Would you give them 3 pieces of advice that you can think of?
I think ask for help. I know that specific challenge I wouldn't have suffered so to such an extent if I would have asked for help, but that was something I always struggled with anyways. If you feel anger at your adoptive parents, again, that's going to be ask for help, ask for an explanation, because someone is going to be there to tell you why you're feeling maybe abandoned or rejected or like you don't belong. And I guess, tell your parents how much you appreciate them and how much you love them, because adoption is a process, and they wanted you so much that they wanted to adopt you, and some days can be tough, like they can be for any parent, but adoption comes with its own set of struggles. So just make sure that they know that they're appreciated.
Yeah. Wow, that is wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about your parents too. So they are just amazing people, and I really appreciate who they are, but you are their child and you have a totally different perspective. So I want to hear what you appreciate with your parents and the way that they parented you. So this is your time to brag on your parents.
Well, I tell people pretty frequently that my parents are the best people I know. They did such a great job encouraging me to go after anything I wanted.
Yeah.
And I appreciate them so much. They're very generous people. They taught me to make sure I stayed in the Word, and to make sure, if I was feeling anything and I was struggling with anything, that I could come to them, even if it was good. And I become a crier. It's so fun. Yay, I'm crying live.
We know that you love
it. They are very humorous. They're there, and if I need them for anything, even if it's dumb or if it's a huge thing, and I really appreciate that about them. I could talk about how great they are all day. Really, I could. Hey! Oh, sorry.
Your dog agrees too, huh?
He really does. He loves them almost more than he loves me.
Dogs know. They just have a sense about them, huh?
Yeah.
Well, so we touched on this before. So your parents are Caucasian and you are biracial. So did you get comments in school or from other people or anything that you can remember because of this?
Not about my family. And actually, surprisingly, I didn't realize, I kind of always knew it was different, that I didn't look like my family, and it didn't really bother me that much. When they embarrassed me in public and I was 13, I know I'd walk 10 steps behind them because I was oh, no one will know I'm with them. But I didn't realize that there were some cultural things I maybe didn't know until I was 19 and living next to the Black Culture Center in college. So, that has a lot to do with the area I grew up in. It's not quite quite diverse.
Yeah.
So I think the culture has changed a lot now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I wasn't aware of some things
Mm-hmm.
until later, and part of that has to do with being biracial. It's only half, and
Mm.
it's half of my culture, but it's an important half that I am learning about now as an adult.
Sure. And have you experienced any negative or negativity because of your being biracial and adopted by Caucasian parents?
I think that some of that negativity comes from there is colorism,
Mm-hmm.
so that's part of it, and I also don't speak the way
Mm.
some people do. Um, well,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have because my mom is the speech
Right.
pathologist. So there's negativity from that, but
Mm-hmm.
that's normally without seeing my parents.
Right.
But then if I tell someone, oh well, I'm adopted and my parents are Caucasian, they're like, oh. So some of that is it's confusing
Mm-hmm.
for other Black people who are more culturally knowledgeable than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there is a little bit of, oh well, she's not Black.
Mm-hmm.
That comes from that, and that's just kind of some issues that stem from
Yeah.
colorism and
Yeah.
other things. But I don't know if it's necessarily because I was adopted by Caucasian parents.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, would you say that you really, growing up, you didn't see color necessarily?
Um, I
Or,
wouldn't say I didn't see color.
mm-hmm.
I knew I was a different color than my parents, but it
Yeah.
didn't really bother me that much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, which I think that might be rare.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I think so. And you think it's because of how your parents explained your adoption?
I think it has a lot to do with that. Also, my parents were told by the adoption agency to
Mm-hmm.
have positive images of people with the same skin tone as me. So every year, our angel on top of our Christmas tree is Black.
Oh.
They did it. There are just various Black angels around our home.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, those are little touches they put. Uh-huh. That's wonderful. Now, I know that your mom had mentioned during the interview that even there were some in the extended family, there was maybe some prejudices that were totally taken away after your grandparents or family had met you and after you came into the family. Can you explain a little bit about that and how
Mhm.
that's been in your family, even extended family being adopted?
Yeah, so I know my mom had a few older family members who, they just weren't necessarily around a lot of people that didn't look like them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that another one of my family members, he was older, and I think that just may have been a mindset that they were kind of a product of their surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I didn't really experience a lot of that,
Mm-hmm.
um, or at least I wasn't aware. So by the time I was old enough, things had changed enough where they either didn't apply those prejudices to me, and I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of an exception to the rule for
Mm-hmm.
them, um, or I just didn't hear a whole lot later. But I do know that there was some prejudice. And the
Mm.
interesting thing is, I know at one point, one side of our family has had people of multiple races, and it's
Yeah.
become um, it wasn't didn't seem like a big deal then later when
After
people
you.
married it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. So you paved the way.
I kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to take that much credit, but I will.
It was your cuteness that really won over their hearts and your smiles and your joy.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, Jessica, let's see. You have a strong identity in who you are, and you always have, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So what would you say to that middle schooler out there who, whether they're adopted or not, and they're just trying to find their identity? What advice would you give to them in finding their identity?
Oh gosh. Um, I would say, um, oh no, that's so serious. Uh, I would say to truly like stand for what you want to do and for what you want to believe in, and hold on to it, because there are going to be people who are going to tell you that the way you are isn't maybe good enough, or maybe it's not the way things should be. That's okay. It's okay if you're you, because you're really figuring out who you are, and you're really gonna like you.
That's good. It's not easy being a middle schooler or teenager, right?
Oh, and I think it's worse now.
Yeah. As years go by, it definitely gets harder with social media and all that. That wasn't there when you were a teenager, right?
Barely.
Yeah.
Barely.
Just starting. I mean, as a middle schooler, I don't think it was quite there.
And we could put it away.
Exactly. It's all around us. Okay, so Jessica, when you are going to become a parent one day, what are some things that you're going to take with you, how your parents have parented you? What are some of those values and things? I'm putting you on the spot here, so you can take some time to think about it. But what are some things that you will carry over to what your parents have done? And I want to learn from your parents too, because I think that you're pretty great. So I want to raise my children to be similar too.
I hope that I can have a sense of humor about things, because my dad has always brought that in, and I think that that's really important. Both of my parents have they've got a sense of generosity, and it doesn't seem like that's something that they have to try to do.
Yeah.
So hopefully that, and kindness, because they're both very kind people. And I don't think that comes naturally to me. So I'm trying to learn it. I'm trying to ingrain it. I don't naturally think of others first, and they seem to. So I'm a parent.
That's good. I mean, being married, that will definitely teach you to be kind. I thought I was a kind person before I got married, and it's definitely put my kindness to the test. Oh, that's wonderful. Good. Well, do you have any other thoughts in closing? I think we've gotten through a lot of our questions, but do you have any other thoughts that you would like to say to those that are listening?
I think if you are considering adoption, it's a difficult road, but it's really worth it. And it can't come with disappointments, but in the long run, I think it's worth it, and you can really change someone's life.
Okay. You know what? Mom will help you in just a moment, okay? I'm just finishing up here. Do you want to come? No? Okay. Yes. Sorry. What was the last thing you said there?
If you're considering adoption,
yes,
it's difficult, and even parenting an adopted child can be difficult. It's really worth it. Coming from an adopted child, I benefited from it.
Yeah.
And I think you can really do something wonderful for someone's life.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree, and I think that it's just amazing the example that your parents have set there. And you okay, sweetheart? Oh, come here. You can come and sit with Mama. You want to come sit with Mama? No. Okay. Oh, yes. Well, that is so wonderful to hear more of your story, and we will continue with your story too, Jessica, in the future, I think, as you are parenting your children. We hope to interview you again one day and hear how your journey of going in a while, yes. Yes, but so wonderful to hear from you and hear your perspective, Jessica. So thank you for opening your life so that we can learn from you and your parents as well. So,
you're welcome.
Great. All right. Well, we will talk to you later, and thank you for today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for thinking of me.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.